The bridge of the Imperial Sovereign fell silent as the sensor readings cascaded across Admiral Vexter's command display. His four eyes widened in disbelief, his crystalline skin flickering from its usual azure to a disturbed purple. This cannot be accurate, he hissed, his translator struggling to convey the depth of his alarm. Run the scan again. Immediately, across the bridge, his tactical officer's tentacles trembled as she complied. The Galaxian Empire had ruled this sector of space for 12,000 cycles. Nothing had ever challenged their supremacies, certainly not the primitives from the backwater planet called Earth. Admiral, the readings are confirmed, she reported, her voice barely above a whisper. The human vessel it's 3 times the mass of our largest Dreadnought. 2 weeks earlier, Commander Jasmine Torres had stood in the observation deck of humanity's first true warship, watching construction crews put the finishing touches on what Earth's desperate governments had simply called Project Defiance. It's beautiful, Harry Chen said beside her, his reflection ghostly in the reinforced view. As the ship's chief weapons engineer, he'd spent 5 years designing systems that the Galaxian Empire would have dismissed as impossible. It's terrifying, Jasmine corrected, though she smiled. Do you really think it'll work? Harry's grin was all confidence. The Galaxians think they know everything about warfare. They've been using the same technology for millennia. Why innovate when you're the apex predator? He tapped the view. But we're not building their kind of ship. We're building ours. The Terran Resolve didn't look like a Galaxian dreadnought, where their vessels were elegant, flowing designs of energy-based weapons and deflector shields. Humanity's first dreadnought was a brutal amalgamation of railguns, missile batteries, and armor plating that would make a battleship from Earth's 20th century seem delicate. Kinetic weapons, Jasmine mused, when every other species uses plasma and lasers. They stopped using projectiles 10,000 years ago, Harry explained. Their shields are optimized against energy weapons, but a 100-ton tungsten rod moving at a fraction of light speed. He whistled. That's just physics. And physics doesn't care about your fancy shields. Now, Admiral Vexter watched that impossibility bear down on his fleet. The human vessel had emerged from the dark space beyond the system's helium, and every moment brought fresh horror to his tactical displays. They're not slowing down, his navigator reported, mandibles clicking nervously. Admiral, they're on a collision course with our formation. Target that vessel, Vexter commanded. All ships, fire at will. The Imperial fleet unleashed hell. Plasma cannons that could vaporize mountains lit up the void. Lance beams capable of cutting through planetary crust lanced across space. Energy weapons that had subjugated 100 worlds converged on the Terran Resolve and did absolutely nothing. Report. Vexter roared. Their armor. It's not deflecting our weapons. It's absorbing them. Ablating layers. Admiral, they've covered their ship in material that simply burns away, dissipating our energy weapons into waste heat. Impossible. The thermal load alone should their venting atmosphere, sir. Using their own oxygen as a heat sink. They're literally bleeding their life support into space to cool their hull. Vexter felt a chill run through his crystalline structure. What kind of madness was this? What kind of species would design a ship that consumed itself to survive? Inside the Terran Resolve, Jasmine gripped her command chair as the ship shuddered under the Imperial barrage. Hull temperature at 42%, Harry reported from the weapons station, his voice steady despite the madness around them. Ablative armor performing as designed, cycling heat exchangers 3 through 17. How long can we hold? Jasmine asked. Long enough. Harry's fingers danced across his console. Firing solution lock. Jasmine, once we fire, there's no going back. She thought of Earth, of the Galaxian ultimatum that had arrived 6 months ago. Submit or be destroyed. The Empire had given humanity one rotation of their homeworld to decide. Humanity had chosen neither. Fire, Jasmine commanded. The Terran Resolve shuddered as its main railgun spoke. No flashy beams of light. No elegant plasma bolts. Just 8 tungsten-tipped projectiles, each weighing more than a freight train. Accelerated to relativistic speeds by electromagnetic force. In the 3 seconds it took those projectiles to cross the distance to the Imperial flagship, Admiral Vexter realized his fatal mistake. His shields designed to deflect energy might as well have been tissue paper. The first round punched through the Imperial Sovereign's shields without slowing. The second and third followed microseconds later. The flagship didn't explode, there was no dramatic fireball. It simply came apart, hull integrity failing catastrophically as supersonic projectiles carved through it like a bullet through wet paper. Multiple impacts on secondary targets, Harry reported, and Jasmine saw it on her display. The railgun rounds had passed completely through the flagship and continued into the fleet beyond. One shot, she realized with grim satisfaction, had destroyed 3 ships in a line. Their breaking formation, Jasmine observed as the Imperial fleet scattered. Open a channel, Vexter's image appeared on her screen. His crystalline face now a sickly green. This is Commander Torres of the Terran Resolve, Jasmine said calmly. You came to our system with an ultimatum. Here's ours. Leave now, or discover what other primitive weapons we've prepared for you. She killed the channel before he could respond. Beside her, Harry let out a breath he'd been holding. Think they'll leave? Jasmine watched as the Imperial fleet's engines flared, executing emergency jumps back to their own space. I think they just learned why humans are the only species insane enough to strap themselves to controlled explosives and call it spaceflight. The Terran Resolve hung in the void, battered but unbroken. Across the Galactic Empire, the question would echo through military academies and strategy councils for generations. Is that really humanity's dreadnought? And the answer would terrify them. It was only the first.